Comic Shrine coming to you with another video, and today I'm going to give you top 10 comics that you have probably haven't ever heard of, haven't even read. I want to introduce you to something completely different. So these are 10 comics that you should be reading. Okay. So when anybody ever says to me, well, name me a comic I should read that I haven't heard of, I always say BLACKSAD. BLACKSAD. BLACKSAD is a French comic, translated into English, of course, I think through Dark Horse. It is magnificent. It is basically based in the 1950s noir comic. All the characters are animals taking on their characteristics. So the main character, which is BLACKSAD, is a 6-foot+ black puma-like cat in a long trench coat, walking around, beating the guys up with his bare fists. You have racist polar bears. You have little weasel of press photographers, and it's a beautifully constructed story and time period. And the writing is great, and the stories are great. And there are several volumes out. My favourite being this one, which is volume 2, Arctic Nation, where BLACKSAD is hired to go and find a kidnapped girl with the Ku Klux Klan in the area. It is so intriguing, but what's the best part of this is the artwork. The artwork is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. It is of the highest quality, detailed. You can tell this is not the kind of thing you pump out once a month. I had the good fortune of meeting the artist Kwando, apologies, at London Super Comic Con, and it was a great pleasure to meet him and get him to sign some of my stuff. I just want to show you some of the detail. You can't go wrong. I've introduced this book to several people. No one has ever been disappointed. It's comic art and comic writing in its highest. So that's the one book I always tell you, go and get. Who's heard of Death's Head? And I'm not talking about Death's Head volume 2, 3 or 4. I'm talking the original Death's Head, the UK Death's Head, the one that came out, guest starred in Transformers. It was in Doctor Who and moved into his own 10-issue title. Very British. Again, a real childhood memory of mine. This is my old copy, and fantastically signed by Furman, Hitch and Farmer. They turned up at my local comic shop. Yes, Brian Hitch, not the Brian Hitch from Authority and Ultimates, yes, but this is the young raw Brian Hitch, but obviously talented. Death's Head is a mechanical robot bounty hunter, and again, it's very quirky. It's very British. If you like Judge Dredd, if you want something different to the superhero comics of that the Marvel of the 80s were producing, Death's Head, you can't go wrong. Some of the issues are hard to track down. There were spin-offs and such, but you go with the original stuff. Great fun. If you haven't read it, it's great 80s superhero. Well, not so much superhero, but great 80s fun comics. We've all heard of Geoff Johns, the DC architect, the great writer of Green Lantern and Flash. But who's read this? Olympus by Geoff Johns and Butch Guice. This is a fantastic read. It reads like a movie. The premise is simple. A group on a ship traveling around the Mediterranean crash on a island during a storm, and on this island the Greek myths are true. So we have Cyclops and Medusa and flying Pegasus, the flying horses. The group that lands on there, you've got a couple of American students, you've got some mercenaries. It should be. It sounds like a movie script. It is fantastic. Great pace, great action. Brings me back to my kind of childhood, the Jason and the Argonauts. But Butch Guice, some of the most realistic art I've seen. Really nice, really nice. Good flow, good pace. So that's Olympus. Pick it up if you haven't read it. The next book. The next book is messed up. I don't want to say too much about it without giving the plot away, but it was jaw-dropping when I read it. And it's called The Assignment, released by Hard Case Crimes, one of my favourite publishers. They're real noir crime comics. This is written by Walter Hill. Walter Hill of Hollywood fame, who written and directed The Warriors. I don't want to give too much about this comic away, because what happens in the first chapter had my jaw hitting the ground. Basically, it's about a hitman who past catches up with him. Yes, we've all heard that before, but a big twist. Really, really big. They made this into a really crap film. It's a kind of film you need to watch drunk at about midnight. It starts Sigourney Weaver and it's Michelle Rodriguez. It was called Tomboy. But don't Google it, don't IMDb it, because it will give the plot away. I just want you to pick this up. Read it, The Assignment by Hard Case Crime. Have you ever thought what would happen if Dr. Doom actually achieved his dream and ruled the world? Dream no longer. Mark Waid's already done that. Empire by Mark Waid, Barry Kitson. So Golgoth, a Dr. Doom-like character, has now completely controlled the world. He's defeated all his these superheroes. He's now running it. He's got to deal with political issues, got to deal with internal fighting. He's also a father with a pretty messed up daughter. Mark Waid writes the shit out of this. It is brilliant. I like the internal politics, the backstabbing, and you actually feel real empathy for Golgoth, this villainous character. This is the trade paperback I think we could pick up at the moment. What's weird about this started off as a digital comic and then collected into this. There was a couple of more issues done that I've purchased, and then I think it went back to being digital with the chapters. I do need to track down the rest of it, but you can just pick up this and have a lot of... Okay, something a bit more mainstream. This is Superman BIRTHRIGHT by Mark Waid. Yes, another Mark Waid on the list, and Lenny Francis Yu. This is a 12-issue series, and I don't think enough people have read this. This is the best Superman origin story. It is great, great fun to read. It really picks up in those years after he's left kind of Smallville and before he hits Metropolis. And I think the main driving character of this is, why are you Superman? Why are you fighting for truth, justice, and the American way? And it answers those questions in the way Mark Waid can only do. He's a great character writer. The art's great. I see meeting Lenny Francis Yu. He was lovely, lovely guy. Very kinetic, very edgy. I don't think enough people have read it, so please pick this up. You'll love it. Now for this little two-part series. The Last Avengers stories, parts 1 and 2 by Peter David. Now this is again a wonderful what-if exploration by a great a great writer by Peter David. He's basically looked into the future, and the Avengers are no longer around. Bad things have happened to them. Now in charge, now the current Avengers are a spoiled group of power-hungry kids. And Kang the Conqueror comes back, and the only person that can save the world is a fat, depressed Hank Pym. And he must get together the last Avengers to save the world. It's great fun. If you know a lot about the Marvel lore, you'll pick up on things hiding in the background like only Peter David does. Throws little Easter eggs in there. I think this is quite hard to find at the moment for what people are telling me, but hopefully you'll find some in the wind. The Last Avengers, parts 1 and 2. Now we all know sexy Selena Kyle, but who knows noir Selena Kyle? This is Ed Brubaker and Darwin Cook having great fun. Basically, Selena Kyle, everyone thinks she's dead, and she's come back now, and she's going to pull a last heist in Gotham. And then there's things take off from there. We're also having this book, Slam Bradley, a private detective, just to give that counterbalance. Slam Bradley was the first appearance in Detective Comics #1. nearly 100 years ago. This is a great run by Ed Brubaker. Darwin Cook, I think, stayed on for about a dozen or so issues and kind of moved on. But the writing never dropped. Look at that. If you're a big Ed Brubaker fan, if you love his Captain America or his stuff where he's doing his criminal, this kind of started up in next. It's this beast, The Killer by MATZ. Look at that. Look at that. The complete collection, translated again, a French book translated into English. It's bleak. You pick this up, you've got to commit. But is it worth it? Oof, yes, it is. Basically about a killer, a hitman, the best in the world, psychologically damaged now, been doing it for too long, trying to stay emotionally detached, tries to stay out of politics, but with Colombians and the CIA, things just don't go according to plan. It's slow paced, it's a slow burner, it's very much a European art housey kind of a book. The main character is a bit hard to sometimes empathise with. It's wordy, but it does pay off. It's one of those books you just say, for the next week or two, I'm just reading this and nothing else. I understand it's one of Brian Bendis' favourite comics. I think he said it was his favourite comic from the last 10 years. So if it's good enough for him, it should be good enough for you. Okay, and the last book on this list is Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, Triumphs and Torment by Roger Stern and Mike Mignola of Hellboy fame. This is a great book. It's one from my childhood. Doctor Doom's mother is trapped in hell under the rule of Mephisto. Every year he tries to battle to save her, and every year he fails. The Ancient One calls all the great sorcerers of the world together to battle out to find out who will be Sorcerer Supreme. And Doctor Doom, who is also a sorcerer, a mystic from his mother's side, enters the fray. It then leads into Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom entering hell to try and save Doctor Doom's mother. It is a great story. There's a lot of pathos in there. You actually feel a lot of sympathy with Doctor Doom. You see him as a character that hasn't been quite written before, I think. It really opened my eyes. We have Mike Mignola real early on work. I was lucky again many years ago to meet him. Drew a little pencil sketch there of Doctor Doom. And again, just a little look at that there. To see his artwork. Yeah, again, it's great because Mike Mignola really lets rip with his magic and sorcery. You can see where he would be going in the future. Pick it up, read it. Let's go home happy. I hope you've enjoyed that list. I hope there's something in there that you might pick up and you will enjoy. Please let me know if you do. And I'll try and put a few more of these kind of videos together. If you can, like, subscribe. Let's beat that YouTube algorithm. And thanks for watching. Until the next video.